Hi, I'm McKenzie. I'm a sophomore and soccer player at the University of New Mexico. I'm from Derby, England. I started playing soccer when I was around 7 or 8 years old. My older brother Jordan, he's 4 years older than me. He played locally on a boys team, so I went and watched him play every Sunday and was around him. And then he kind of encouraged me, got me into it, and then took off from there. I started playing around 8. I transitioned from kind of playing with my brother at the park to playing with the boys at my elementary school. I joined the boys' school football team. My PE teacher at the time recommended that I join Derby Girls Football Club, so I went and played them for a year, but it was a lot of travelling kind of to and from the neighbouring city. So my mum asked me to join the local boys football team, a team called Normanton All Stars. Loved it because it was all my friends from school and played for them for 5 years. Playing with the boys when I was younger was honestly quite fun. I was a lot taller than a lot of them. I was one of the boys, like they just treat me like I was one of the boys. And then we'd play other teams and they'd be like, oh, that's a girl playing. And then so they'd be scared to kind of tackle me, get a ball off me, until like I kind of skilled past them or kind of like barged into them. And then they're like, no, you can't let her beat you kind of thing. And then it got really competitive and it was always just really fun. I think it's really interesting comparing both England and American opportunities soccer-wise, because I'm not quite sure I'd have the same opportunities or be at the level I am now if I grew up in America, mainly because of the size of things. In England, I live with my mum and she doesn't drive, so I had to catch the train to and from Birmingham in order to play for their academy. But I think if I played in America, I wouldn't be able to, public transport-wise, so I'd be stuck in my high school and I probably wouldn't have afforded to be able to play for club either. And I feel like, from what I've found out from my teammates, you have to play at a good club to kind of get scouted and get a scholarship. But in comparison in England, I was lucky enough to kind of work part-time, kind of save up, travel to and from Birmingham, and then through playing for that club, that got me into England, and then England got me a scholarship. So I think the opportunities differ, but it's hard socioeconomically in both countries. And it was really nice not only have a coach kind of support me on the field, but off the field, and just have a relationship where they cared about me more than a player and more as a person, and helped me get to where I am here. And obviously have Heather Dyke and Carly Nelson, Mick Supple, Paul Maestas, and it was kind of the first time that they didn't really have expectations of me as a player. They really cared about me as a person, and instead of being like, we have expectations, you should play this well, it was more, we just want the best for you, and more encouraged me to be the best I can. But the important part was they showed that through their actions. They said things like, Paris, if you want to make the team or play professional, like we'll be here at like 7 a.m. every day if you want us. And then I was like, okay, cool. But then they actually followed through with it and trained with me like nearly every day my freshman year. After playing for the boys team, I was at a school tournament at high school, playing for the girls school football team. And then one of the Birmingham women's professional footballers were there and asked me who I played for, and I was like, oh, I just played for like the local boys team. And she said, oh, you should try out for Birmingham. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then, so me and my mum caught the train to Birmingham and kind of trialed for them. They liked me, so I played 4 games kind of in the team. I think it was really cool. So I went from only playing in Derby to playing against Oxford, Aston Villa, Chelsea. We was going to all these training grounds. It was really overwhelming, but really cool. And so they liked me, kind of made the team, and then joined them for the under-16s. And it wasn't until I got to Birmingham that I realised that I could play for the national team. I got there and I was playing either against girls, or there's a few on my team who'd gone to England camps, and I was like, wait, there's like England camps? Like, I can like make the team, that's so cool. So I think I kind of settled in the first year, and then and then after that I was like set. I was like, I really want to make the under 16 England team. So I was working hard by myself outside of club, and I was like desperate to make this team or just go to a camp at least. And it was beginning of under 16s, so under 15s, under 16s. At the beginning of under 16s, my coach put me forward to a regional camp. Both went pretty well, and then I kind of was like, what's next? National team, I really got make a national team camp. And then with the national team, you kind of just get an email saying you've been selected out of nowhere. So I never knew this email was coming, and never been to any national team camps. And they sent me an email, end up under 16s. I was like, you've been selected to a tournament in Italy. And I was like, oh, okay. But I hadn't travelled out the country in a while, so I had to get my passport really quickly. And it was the first time I'd been on a plane since I was a kid. So it's really overwhelming. And we went over to Italy and played Belgium and Slovenia in Slovenia because it was near the border. I think I played my first game against Slovenia. We won 1-0. It was really overwhelming because I wasn't used to the pace because the national team players were playing a lot quicker. I was really overwhelmed the first half, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And the captain had to kind of calm me down, and then I played second half a lot better. Kind of enjoyed it. And that was like my first England camp. It was really cool. And then from there, kind of once you're in the national team, not that you stay in, but they kind of keep an eye on you. You can get called back to more. So I got called back to the beginning of the under 17s. It was like the first camp, and kind of like, I think it was 30 players there. It was like basically everyone who they got the eye on just to see with the 17s. And the 17s was a big year. Because it was a U17 Euro year. So the first camp, John, the head coach, didn't really like me much, to be honest. I don't think he rated me much as a player. I remember we were playing like 11s against each other, and John had me on the bench like throughout the 4 games, and I was like, wow, this is not a good start. And then I got put on standby for 3 months, so it's kind of like if someone gets injured, you can get called to camp. But I wasn't one of the starting 24 players that made the team. So from that, I was just motivated to work harder than ever, to just get onto the team and make the Euro team. And so I remember literally like writing down on my phone, like logging what I was doing every day so I can just make the team. It was crazy. And then I got called back to camp in November to see where I was at. I've improved a lot, but I wasn't quite ready. So I was back on standby. And then one of the players, when we played Japan at home in December, and then one of the players got injured, so I got called up. And John was like, hey Paris, I'm going to start against Japan tomorrow. This is your chance, kind of take it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was so nervous, it was crazy. But I ended up playing really well. And then from then on, I kind of made the team and just kind of stayed in the team. Went to Spain in January, Norway for the Euro qualifiers in March, I think. And then had a lot of kind of family issues. So after all of that working, I didn't play great in Norway. So then right before the Euros, he put me back on standby, and I was like heartbroken. I was like, no. But then my best friend on the team gets injured 4 days before the Euros. So I got called up kind of in her place. It was a whole roller coaster. And then we got to Euros in Lithuania, and the other centre mid fractured her hip the first day of practice. So I'd gone from not going to being the starting kind of number 6. I ended up playing 3.5 out of the 5 games. It was a whole roller coaster. I scored in the first group game against Poland. It was a whole thing. And then I think we ended up coming 4th in the Euros. We'd beat Italy 4-0 in the quarterfinals, got to semi-finals versus Germany, got slaughtered on live television. 8-0, 6-0, it was something crazy. It was horrible. So we was like, okay, we've got Finland. We just kind of need to play against Finland to make the World Cup. It's okay. And then we were winning 1-0 and lost 2-1. So that was tragic. And then from 17s, because I played so well at Euros, I transitioned to the under 18s. It's crazy going from only playing local football to traveling to another country and playing them. And honestly, the more you do it, the more you kind of take it for granted, unknowingly. You kind of just think it's the norm, and yeah, you're just traveling, especially when you're only like 16, 17, kind of take it for granted. A lot of players do because they get called up frequently. And then it's not until kind of the camps stopped that we were like, wow, like we miss it, like we really want to go back, like it's incredible just being able to travel, especially when I have my mom or my family being like, Paris, you traveled more in like these 2 years than I have my entire life. And it really puts it in perspective and kind of makes you really grateful and get to travel to all these different places. It was an incredible experience. It teaches you a lot about yourself and the world in general, because you get to experience all these different cultures. I actually really love New Mexico, like the culture, the place in general. It's very different. I honestly didn't know what New Mexico was until Heather recruited me. And I was like, oh, like the university, like what's New Mexico? And I was looking at a map and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Didn't know it existed. And then I came here and I was kind of amazed and overwhelmed because I'd never seen mountains before, and you had clear blue skies and all these sports I'd never seen before, like American football, baseball, basketball, like all these sports and like facilities. It was incredible. But one of the big things I've came to appreciate is how friendly New Mexicans are in general. And like at games or New Mexico United games or the Isotope games, like, there's always so many fans and everyone's really friendly and welcoming. And I think that's part of the culture, and I've came to appreciate the culture the more I've been here. I think the New Mexico Diversity Fellowship is an incredible opportunity because you have fellowships out there that want to make change and improve things, but through this one it specifically targets kind of diversity and people who don't get the opportunities that others do. And through that, I just think it's really important and really inspiring that they have chosen to pick people who wouldn't get their opportunities elsewhere, because through that they can improve and become better people in their field and in general, and then inspire other people who don't get those opportunities to do the same. To me, New Mexico United embodies kind of unity, and through like New Mexican culture and how friendly everyone is and how passionate about soccer they are, I think New Mexico United embodies unity and kind of caring about people as a collective and as a state, and everyone wants to be at the games and support each other, and it's just really cool to see. Following Troy, I'm really excited to see how it is to coach and run a team at like such a high level. Just to see the pressure he has to obviously make everything work, and to see his plans in all different areas, kind of technically, and how everything comes together, but not just him, but as a collective from all the staff, to see how it works to run a club. I probably wouldn't have got my coaching license without the opportunity I have now. Financially, I don't think I have the spare money to do so. I've always wanted to do so, and kind of learn about the game through that perspective. But through this opportunity, I think, I'm not entirely sure how it will pan out, but it'd be really cool to kind of start getting my coaching license while I'm here at UNM and still a player, and then carry on pursuing that whilst also trying to become a soccer player. So just within the next 5 years, trying to manage both and learn from both areas of the game and see where it can take me.
I'd love to coach late adolescent years, so end of high school, college kind of time period, because it's a big transitional area and kind of pathway for those who want to be a soccer player. But for people in general, I think I didn't quite realize that until I got to UNM, and I suddenly had all these teammates who loved soccer but kind of were using that to get a degree and go into their dream job outside of soccer. So I think it'd be really cool to use soccer to influence people outside of the sport and kind of build characteristics and qualities that they can take into everyday life and their future jobs. When I was around, I think it was 14, 15, I read Carly Lloyd's autobiography, and he was talking about putting the work there when no one was watching. I found it incredibly inspirational, and kind of, I was always a kind of perfectionist and hard worker, and kind of relied upon working hard to kind of be the best I could be. But after reading that book, it kind of inspired me to be at the park kind of every day, trying to train by myself and improving so that
I can kind of make it to the next level and get to the next step. I think hopefully through coaching we can get more coaches and people of colour in the game of football, because it is inspiring as a young soccer player to see. My mum's British, my dad's Jamaican. I didn't really grow up knowing my dad, so that side of the family wasn't kind of in my life until the last year or so. But I still identify as a woman and a woman of colour. Growing up, there wasn't that many role models, like kind of mixed race or black females in sport, so I really looked up to Jessica Ennis when I was younger, because it was like my first kind of role model of the person that I could be, and still obviously look up to Jess Ennis and all she's accomplished. And then through growing older and seeing the national team, players like Nikita Paris, and just seeing more role models and influences is really cool to see, kind of really inspiring, because you just think, oh, I can be like them, or I can achieve what they can.